Call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Anson, Trustee Doro. Here. Trustee Myers.
Here.
Trustee Washliger.
Here.
Trustee Connor.
Here.
Trustee Ledke.
Here.
President Vanderstel.
Here. I do want to add for that roll call, Jeff Anson is here. He is sitting with the wonderful people in front of us out in the chairs in front of the board. I will ask if Jeff Anson will come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get to this, do we want to suspend the rules? And I'll speak louder. Sorry. Typically, right now, we would go with public comments. I'm going to ask, since he is here, would we like to have a motion to suspend the rules, which is our agenda, just for this agenda item of bringing forward our item of accepting Jeff Anson's resignation and also giving him time at the mic. But first, we would need a motion for a suspension of the rules specific to that item to bring it forward, if the board would allow.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to suspend the normal rules
Suspend.
of the agenda here for a special
Okay?
addition to Trustee Anson coming up and giving his last words.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules to take up item 8 on the agenda, which is consideration of a motion to accept the resignation of Trustee Anson. So that's the item that we would have on the board. It would be appropriate for us to have a motion I don't know how much discussion we will have, but maybe comments, and then we will turn the mic over to Mr. Anson if he'd like to come forward, but it would be appropriate to have a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation for trustee Jeffrey Anson.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the resignation that was turned in by Jeffrey Anson. Any discussion or comments?
I would like to start and thank trustee Anson for his time of service and the things that he's done for our community. Not only serving at the helm of the board and for the village, but also the work that you've done with our fire department and keeping an operating business here where individuals have had an opportunity to thrive and really enjoy the quality of life. So I appreciate what you've done for our community, and it's been a pleasure serving with you, sir.
Second that. Well said.
We're gonna miss you.
Yeah, I mean, sentiments exactly. It was Jeff Anson that got me on the board. He encouraged me to join, and I appreciate that. A great friend, great business partner in the community. As an independent businesses, it's nice to see people that stick together and look out for the community and look out for each other's businesses. So he will be greatly missed, and he was a great addition to the board in the time I was here.
I'd like to thank you very much for your time and the input, a little different perspective on different things, which is pretty helpful to make decisions. So best of luck in the future.
Thanks, man.
Jeff, thank you very much for all you've done for the community and on behalf of the board and on the village. It isn't always easy as taking the time constantly, over and over and over again, to serve the best interest of the village, but to have people do that, I think, is a great thing. I think people respect it, especially when, in your case, having I believe it's one of the only taverns I know of that's ever even shown village board meetings going at the tavern. But honestly, thank you so much for your time and being willing to serve. It is, a lot of people, don't have time or can't, or they choose, it's just too much. But thank you very much for your service, and I hope that when you're running for office, if you get to Florida, when you get to Florida and you start running for office, let us know and send pictures, because you won't have to deal with the winters you did here. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any comments? I'm going to call the vote to accept the resignation, and then if allowed, let Jeff come and say a few words. So I'll call the question now. All in favor of accepting the resignation? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Mr. Anson, if you'd like to come to the step to take the microphone. Yep. I've got Ryan right here with all the paperwork.
Jeffrey Anson, 726 Mansfield Court, Hartland. I just wanted to thank everybody on the board for being great partners with being trustees and being a member of the board. I was honored to have the people of Hartland vote me onto the board. It was an absolutely great honor, and I thank all the people of Hartland for doing that twice. I really enjoyed it. I hope that I did a good job for the people of Hartland and was a good voice for the people of Hartland. And I wish everybody on this board all the best in the future. And I love Hartland. I always will love Hartland. And if anybody wants to move down there from Hartland, I would be more than happy to turn it into Little Hartland down there. There's enough room. I know a few of us are going down. But thank you so much for letting me do this and letting me be a part of Hartland and the board and part of the business community. And the fire department has been great. So, yeah, I've loved my time here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. At this time, now the next item regularly scheduled in the agenda, because we took up that item, would be public comments. Anybody from the public that would like to come forward and speak in public comments, please step forward towards the microphone here.
Good evening. My name is Jackie Lufter. I live at 405 Hillendale Circle, and I'd like to bring it to the board's attention that the house directly next to me, 409, is a house that is being used as a group home, and unfortunately, we see the police presence there on a regular basis, and the community is very concerned about what is happening to our little subdivision. My children have witnessed residents kicking each other, kicking their the workers there, I've called the police there personally, and then they left and came back, and it was almost as if it was a SWAT team coming in because they all raced in to get another person that they were arresting there. And I just don't think it's very great for our community to see my children, the little kids that live in the subdivision on a, like I said, a regular basis, that these kids are watching people being taken off in handcuffs on a regular basis. And I'd like to, get the board aware of this and maybe see what we can do. I know originally it was a home that was used for people with Alzheimer's, but it got changed to this group home. I don't know what the regulations are, but we are very, very concerned. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the board for any public comments?
From the board.
Or anybody else? Anybody else for the board to give your public comments to the board? Last call. To the comments that were just made, because I know it is a serious issue over there in the neighborhood, I just want to let you know, just because you're not getting a reply right now does not mean that you won't get a reply from one or all of us and the police. So just want you to know that that's all noted, the address and that, and it's just that during the meeting, we usually don't get into the discussion, and
Thank you.
I'm sure one or all of us will be in contact with you. All right? So with that now, we have our first item on the agenda, which is acceptance of a donation grant check from We Energies for the police department training. Presenting will be Joe, Tom, and if you want to step forwards to the microphone and describe what the process is and what's going on.
Sounds
in
good.
the grant.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Good evening. Thank you to the village board, to you, Jeff, for inviting me here today for this special occasion. My name is Joseph Tom. I'm a project supervisor with We Energies and a member of the We Energies Rewarding Responder Grant Program. I'm also to say I'm a proud resident of the village of Hartland, along with my wife. I don't have to give my address, though. I hope not.
If you're for We Energies, you don't have to. If you're a resident, you do.
Much like the mission statement of police departments around the world, to serve and protect, the mission of We Energies is to provide our customers with world-class energy service and reliability and protecting the safety of our employees and our customers. Rewarding responders is our commitment to supporting local first responder agencies by awarding grants of up to $2,000 per agency for a total of $50,000 each year. I can't begin to tell you how proud I am to be a part of this grant program, because to me there is actually no greater reward and feeling than to giving back to first responders such as Chief Misko and the men and women of the Hartland Police Department. These men and women who give so much to keep our communities safe. This year we received over 60 grant requests from police and fire departments and other emergency service agencies within the Wisconsin service territory. These grants will be used to purchase equipment and professional development that are part of an integrated public safety initiative. I was happy to see this year the Hartland Police Department on the list of grant requests for funds for professional development. Chief Torrin Misko is working to complete his executive certificate in public leadership through the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Chief Misko will complete a 10-day online course titled Leadership Decision Making, Optimizing Organizational Performance, which aims to decision analysis and leadership effectiveness. Chief and I had the pleasure to speak with one another last week, and he stated how this course will not just contribute to his leadership development, but will be shared with all of the men and women of Hartland's law enforcement personnel to help them better serve the community. Chief Misko noted in the grant request that with the call for police reform at the local, state, and national levels, there has never been a more important time to receive law enforcement leadership training. There has also never been a more important time to have effective law enforcement leaders and supervisors to help the law enforcement profession get through these difficult and challenging times. We couldn't agree more. And in that same token, it is always a good time to support law enforcement and our first responders. To Chief Misko, to the Hartland Police Department, to the Village of Hartland, on behalf of We Energies, I am proud and honored to present to you this grant of $2,000. Thank you for your service and for your commitment to serving and protecting our community. God bless you all, and thank you.
If you want to come up for the picture, you
Sure.
can. If you want to come up to take the picture, you can. Oh, I didn't even realize. That works. However you guys, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, you have you guys in the background.
With microphone right there.
Yeah, there we go.
If you could stand and block me, that'd be great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Just like to say quickly, I thank Mr. Tom and obviously We Energies for supporting the Hartland Police Department. As the board's heard, this is a executive leadership course that I've been putting myself through primarily, and then went through a course this year through the Hartland Police Department, and then one more course to finish my executive leadership certificate through the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. And we spoke briefly on the phone, and one thing I told Mr. Tom that sets Harvard aside, not just academically, but a lot of the police leadership schools are given by police leadership institutes specifically, where it's just a bunch of law enforcement executives in a room talking about the same problems, very like-minded individuals coming out with the same solutions. At Harvard Kennedy School of Government, it's government leaders from all different disciplines. So it's not just a bunch of cops in a room talking about the same old problems and same old solutions. You're really getting tested. There's elected officials in these courses. Your argument is not just going to be accepted because everyone's like-minded. You really have to formulate a well argument, talk through a lot of different discussion points, and it's just a lot more challenging than any other law enforcement school specific that I've ever been to. So it's a great opportunity, and bringing that all back to our command staff and officers in leadership positions at Hartland Police Department is just very important. This also allows us then to apply those funds to other officers in need of different areas of training throughout the police department. So again, thank you, We Energies, very appreciative of the help.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, now we have a consideration of a motion to approve the village board minutes of the August 9th, 2021 meeting and the special village board minutes of the August 11th, 2021 meeting.
Also moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes.
Just for the record, Trustee Connor was not at the second special meeting. So
Did you get that? You got it?
I'm just saying because he seconded the motion.
Oh, yeah, let's get another second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Did you get the change in second? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. I know we already voted, but I'm gonna actually call the question again and just, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is carried.
He sustained.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's abstention. Connor. What?
I was getting the bug.
Oh.
Sorry.
The next item we have is consideration of a motion to approve vouchers for payment in the amount of $334,778.67.
I make,
On your voucher list, you'll see a final payment for Wolf Paving for the 2021 paving and patching contract. You'll see it broke up into North Avenue and Industrial Drive. That is for the sum of $73,775.00. So that'll be on your voucher list.
He was just letting you know that
Good.
it's a project that's closing out.
I make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $334,778.67.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers in the amount of $334,778.67. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. At this time, I already have to do this to you guys again, that it wasn't all in one meeting, but I think it's appropriate that I go out there. I'm gonna let the board tell me what they want me to do, because these next licenses. Oh, yeah, we can do that, you're right, according to the list.
Hold until C.
Yes. What'd you say?
Yeah, let's just get through them until item
Okay,
C.
okay. So we have a restricted species permit for Timothy Cole, 317 North Avenue. If he's here, please come and address the board. This was held over from the last meeting.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think I understand the confusion, because I had to send in certain things to get these, and the picture I sent in explains male and female, the rooster and the hen. And I think that's where the confusion is. We got these chickens way back in March. They're at another location in Merton. We brought them over to the house recently to clip their wings, but they are all hens. We did not want roosters. Any roosters we would have gotten, we would have taken to the same place to have butchered. These were strictly to produce eggs, and that's it. So,
Sure.
I really don't know what else I had to do. I know Ann came by the house this week. Hi, Ann, and saw the setup, and I guess I'm not sure what other things I can do to show that they're all hens.
How many do you have?
3.
Really, we wanted to make sure that there wasn't gonna be a rooster.
Yeah, and I think that's where the confusion was, is with the picture I sent in with this.
Yeah, because of the weight at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
makes
so,
sense.
and I've been fortunate to be able to have them somewhere else, and, I didn't know much about them, but the family that I kind of got involved with them, were able to take them, you can raise them till you really don't know right away if they're gonna be a rooster or not. It takes time for that to happen. Months have went by, and they're definitely not roosters, so.
So I have to call the question with the diagram that you showed. Thank you for providing that. That was
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah.
At the top, it had
That-
said that they were being kept as pets and that there were 2 chickens total. So now there's 3.
There are 3 now.
Okay.
When we went to Merton Feed, they recommended that we get 3 because some just don't make
They're
it.
not egg layers.
So that's how we ended up with 3.
And they're not against the fence
And-
here anymore, are they?
No,
Okay.
they were, so
Back here.
the coop was against the fence, but it was a little too visible, I guess. So we moved that to the back with the fence around the coop.
Trying to get torn. I just wanted to let them know that they don't have to stay for the meeting. That's what they presented. I really don't have, with there being no roosters, I really don't have any issue. For the village, I think we have a little bit more of a village issue.
Sure.
Where we have, if we want to change something, we should make a change. Technically, roosters, or chickens are roosters or hens. That we didn't specify, so if we, want any special exceptions for that, maybe we want to include that, to have people really tell us, describe that up front. But that's something that we can take care of down the line. But then whatever we can do to be more forthcoming, if it's helpful. Or for anyone listening, when people do come for the restricted species permits, to say, hey, it gets really important if you got roosters.
Sure.
It's important anyways, but I think it might be, it's just us being more open, transparent, and making it easier for someone that's applying,
I make the motion that we approve the restricted species permit for the 3 chickens.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the restricted species permit for the chickens. Discussion. The only thing I would throw in is that you would want to come back to the village. It'd be appropriate to come back if all of a sudden you had 4 or 5.
Sure,
You would
yeah,
want to
no,
come back
we-
to the village, because right now the number's going to be just listed as 3.
Yeah, and that's the most we will ever have.
I'm just
Yeah.
letting
Sure,
you
no,
know,
I
because sometimes
understand.
people, they don't they're like, well, they
Yeah.
said, so I'm just kind of letting you know.
Sure, and I guess why I'm here, I do have a question. Now, once they stop producing and we butcher them for the meat, and I get new chickens, do I have to come for another permit, or is that, I didn't really see how long the permit.
I would say as long as you don't exceed 3,
Yeah,
you're fine.
okay, sure. Okay,
That's what I would say, but that would have to be a board decision.
and no roosters? No, we definitely don't want roosters. We want to be able to sleep in the morning.
And so do we. Thank you.
Yes.
Does anybody have, anybody else need it, add anything? It's been moved and seconded to approve the restricted species permit for Timothy Cole, 317 North Avenue, with 3 chickens. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Mr. Cole.
Now we have bartender operator's license, Applicants have successfully completed the responsible beverage service courses. This is for Robert Hervert and Nina Baumeister.
I make
Hope
the
I'm
mo-
pronouncing that right.
I make the motion that we approve the 2 bartending license as read.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those licenses. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. I'm gonna leave the seat again, everybody, that we did this once before. Sorry, I didn't get it all in at one meeting, so I'm gonna vacate the seat.
At this time, I call upon the board to nominate trustee Michael Myers to helm the gavel during item number 4, part C.
Second.
Okay, first we have the amusement device license. We have the applicant's Chris Mills. Location is at 375 Cottonwood Avenue. And is there any discussion, any comments, concerns, questions?
I have a question.
Yes,
What's the difference between A and B? A pool table and a billiard table?
what's the difference between the two?
That would be for Darlene, not me.
Darlene, were you able to hear the question from
The
trustee?
difference between, it's whatever they complete on the form is what we believe it to be. So typically, they come to us and say whether it's pool or billiards. I don't know the detailed specifics.
It's pool,
Is there
it's
a
got
pool?
pockets and pool bowls. It's pool.
Isn't that a billiard table?
No, a billiard table doesn't have the same pockets.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering. I'm sorry, I was.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
where,
didn't know
over
the
in Europe,
difference.
they have a lot of that.
Okay, gotcha.
And they have a ping pong and billiards, they don't have that on a regular pool table.
Okay.
So it appears that we're talking about a table with holes in it for the balls to go in. So it seems like it's the same thing, it should work. So I guess we can call the question, have a vote. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion, first of all? Anybody want to make a motion to approve the
I'll make a
amusement
motion
license?
to approve the amusement device license for the Gristmill, Inc. at 375 Cottonwood Avenue.
Second.
Okay. All opposed? Okay, let's have the vote.
I'm kind of curious, so we're approving all these licenses, but you're actually not in control of it yet. There's actually not a grist mill.
There is a corporation of the grist mill. The
Okay.
licenses are being put in place so that once it opens, there is not a delay of a
Okay.
week or 2 weeks when it opens. But yes, the corporation has been set, the bank account is set, it's filed with the IRS, and the EIN has been turned in, and the federal identification number, and the one for the state as well, has all been turned into the village, so they have that information.
Would you do me a favor, can you state your name for the public and the corporation that you're speaking for?
Jeffrey
Just for the record.
Fannerstill, the Grist Mill, Inc.,
Thank you,
located in Hartland, where Hoggers currently is.
thank you.
Okay.
One question I have, and this might be a naive question, but it lists amusement, but it doesn't have anything on here with a dartboard. And I know there's a dartboard there. Does that matter at all, or is that, not, I didn't see like an other or anything here.
What's the amount of things on there?
5.
5.
Yeah, there's only 4 amusement machines, and then
Okay.
there's 1 for the dartboard.
Okay, so that's inclusive.
Yes.
Got it, okay.
I listed it the
If it
exact same way that
amuses
Hoggers had it
If it
as it was
amuses
approved
you.
last year. I was advised
Amusement device.
Perfect.
by the village to do it that way, since it was already set.
I have no questions at this
More
time.
questions?
Chair?
Okay.
No.
Have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Did we come up with the cabaret license for the applicant Grist Mill at the location of 375 Cottonwood, the same location, the same owner, the same ownership? Any comments, any questions? Well, I guess we can call for a vote.
I make
How
a
about a
motion-
motion first? I thought we have a motion, that'd be
I'll
good.
make a motion to approve the cabaret license application for the Grist Mill at 375 Cottonwood Avenue.
Second.
Any opposed? Do you have a vote? You know, all in favor of the cabaret license for the Grist Mill at 375 Cottonwood Avenue, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I had just a question.
I can't see hands, I'm sorry, I don't
I had a
have the
question
name.
for the applicant. And maybe it's actually for the clerk, so I'm not sure, Darlene, it's either for applicant or clerk. It just, at the bottom of the application, it states number of patrons allowed in the establishment as set by either the fire department or building inspector, and it's not filled out. So I just didn't know what the process was for that.
I have never been given numbers for any establishments. That form is
Okay. So we got a bunch of I don't knows. Okay.
I own Triangle Tap in Hartland, and when I was getting my bar license, liquor license, the fire department had to come in and determine how many people could be feasibly in the bar itself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we know what that is?
The current establishment has nothing posted on that, and it was not on their permit the last years that they've put it forward. Again, the village advised that I fill out the permit, since it's the exact same devices and the exact same building with no changes, to fill it out exactly the same way that it was there. I did ask about that. I was advised to do the same thing that had been done.
Chief here.
He is.
So basically transfer the license.
Chief, I'm just trying to clarify because I do know that other establishments in the area that do gather individuals would have that, and it was empty here. So is there, I mean, do we not know that for that building? I mean, that would be great, in fairness of the operator, so that the operator knows as well, I mean, and the other establishments know.
And I can look back in our records to our inspection records and see if there's anything in there that states what it is or what it was.
I think that would be fair to the applicant. Thank you, all.
So we've transferred it's gonna be a transfer of the license for the cabaret license and the grist mill. And that gets the end of my reign of terror. So can we have a vote?
Let's do it again.
We have a vote?
We need a vote, we need a vote.
We need
Do it
to
again.
vote.
Yeah.
We need to vote, we have the motions.
We just finished discussion,
Well,
so.
can we, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's passed. I'm gonna retire. Jeff, I return the gavel over to Jeff. The pressure's off.
President, thank you for stepping from
Yep.
the table.
Okay, now we have a second. We have a street use permit, shoot, sorry.
You're right here.
I have a street use permit. Applicant is Katie Pirabin. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, so I'm sorry. Corabian. The event is a neighborhood block party, 1016 River Reserve Drive, 9/25/2021 is the date, so September 25th, from 3 o'clock to 8 p.m. Anybody here for that permit? Gonna go for how long? Just a block? With signatures? Yeah, good. Unless it was not.
And it looks like the applicant's driveway is the one that's blocked.
Yeah.
That's what it says here, yeah.
But is there gonna be music or?
Probably, but the whole block will be there, so they'll be good. They got the signatures.
Okay, only till 8 o'clock,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And it's-
I'll make a motion to approve the street use permit as submitted and read.
Second. Any discussion? I'm sorry, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a second reading of a bill for an ordinance 08-08-2021, an ordinance amending 82-4 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances regulating parking limitations.
I have some questions.
Sure.
On number 2, I happen to notice, there's a business in town, we won't mention which one's right across from us, that has a 15-minute parking sign that has been there for a long time, but that's also where the delivery, the sign is for the reserve pickup. So is it a 15-minute parking spot or is it a reserve pickup spot?
Where exactly is this?
Right in front of the pharmacy.
In front of the pharmacy? It's a 15-minute parking spot.
Remember that 15-minute parking spot? Well, that's also where the reserve parking is.
For
So which is it? Is it 15? Because it says there cannot be no other sign, traffic cone, or barrier. And there's already a sign there for 15-minute? So is it,
The 15-minute sign that's cemented in is for that whole side of the street.
I thought it was just for that parking spot.
No. If you look, it's got arrows going that way on that side of the street, and it's got a sign for this side of the street.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I thought it was just that.
I
spot.
thought it was
Because I
just
thought
that
the other ones,
spot.
when you go down further, say 2-hour parking.
Yep, I bet you there's more spaces left open there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you
Okay.
get a little bit towards Tabby's, there's an actual sign right there.
Oh, okay.
That says like 2-hour parking.
Oh.
Interesting.
I didn't know either.
I
but,
didn't
yeah.
either.
can we do something with it? I mean, because that's where, is it, but that sign is right there, is it 15 minutes, or is it reserved where somebody, because if, I noticed there was a car there, okay? There's nobody in the car, and according to this, the person has to still be in the car, or they can get a ticket. Is that correct? In here?
One space is dedicated for curbside pickup, the
Right.
other ones are used for whatever
Correct.
you want.
But that-
But you
if-
can't say this one is curbside, this one's reserved, it's just one of the two are for curbside.
That's not
Or
how
one
I
of the two-
interpret it.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
To me, that one spot is both reserved and 15-minute. And if I'm parking, because I was gonna park there the other day, and I thought, well, I need to go in to get it, so I can't park here because this is reserved, so I had to go and park in the back. So that's my question is, for the police, you know, and plus the person has to stay in the car, correct?
The way it's written in my understanding, and I do hear what you're saying because it creates conflicting information, but it is for staying in your car and having it come out curbside. Curbside's not for going in, it's for when someone's bringing something out.
Okay, but as I pull up, if I don't notice that sign, because this other one's right here and this one's here, it's confusing. I think we need to do something with it. And if we have to take a saw and chop it off, then we chop it off.
We could just take it off the pole.
Has it been an issue?
No, but if we don't
That's what
do
I-
it for one, we have to do it for, I mean,
But he's the only spot that is the 15-minute.
It's right in, yeah.
okay, well, I'm just saying it's confusing. And it's not his, I mean, it's not his,
Chief?
We have people parked in front of
I could
driveways.
comment on it quickly if you'd like. Again, Chief Torrin, Misco, Hartland Police Department. So whether it's 15-minute or 2 hour, doesn't matter what it is, wherever you wheel that curbside up, if you've been designated to have a spot, so the 8 businesses that have been given the mobile signs, they wheel that up, wherever they put that in front of that legal parking spot is now a curbside pickup spot.
and is
So-
it from the sign back or from the sign forward?
It would be from the
Sign
sign
back.
The end spot there.
back, right?
Okay,
So
that's what I
one
wanted
that
to make
You'd be
sure.
facing the sign.
Right, okay.
Every single one of the spots, if I could jump in, Chief, every single one of the spots is designated as something, and there
Some
are
type of
other
restriction.
places where they put that thing, and, like, there's a
Okay.
pole at Palmer's that has, you know, listing the parking restrictions, and right there is where they put it for their curbside pickup. I think where it's getting confusing in this situation you're referring to is because it says 15-minute. When it says 2 hours, you know that that's for curbside pickup.
Right,
But our
right.
ordinance is listed, I do see what she's saying, we might need to alter the ordinance to state that the temporary, I don't know.
That
Because
takes
she's saying if there's
precedence
two, that
over
it's something.
anything, yeah.
Or we could just take it as it comes, but we do want to make it legitimate up front. I
I
don't think it's
just-
ever been an issue. I've only heard of an issue over on North Ave.
I just was confused. And I didn't want to be breaking the law, so,
And we could add some language that the curbside parking supersedes any other signage
Yes.
that designates, because like the
That would be
president
great.
said, every spot's got some type of restriction
Yeah.
downtown.
Right.
That
Whether
would be
it's
great if we could.
hours or minutes.
And it's worked out well, and we have no idea what's coming as, I don't know, with this variant, but we don't know what's coming where it may become more and more of that people are really gonna use curbside again, and we had a lot of curbside pickups for a while there. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I think we're doing a good thing by keeping the curbside.
yeah.
Everybody seems to, I can understand where that one was confusing, but everybody seems to, you know,
Okay.
really, we haven't run into a problem with it.
The language for the no other sign was, the intent behind that was there was businesses adding signs and then taking
Right.
additional spots, and there was a lot of signage going on. So we were trying to get them just to use the one officially issued sign
Yep.
from the DPW.
but again, when I went back and read this, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, which sign is it? And then, yeah,
If we could, because this is only the second reading, if we could just change that
Yep.
word to, instead of just saying
Thank
one
you.
sign, it could be one village-issued sign or something.
that takes precedence, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one reserved pickup parking sign issued by the Village of Hartland.
Oh, then we're good.
Yep.
Right. But I could add some language if the board wants that the curbside sign supersedes any other posted.
That would be great.
Sign.
Thank you.
Whatever you think
that
works,
cleans
because
it
you're the
up.
one enforcing it, so.
Sure. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
I will get that to you guys for your next board meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Didn't mean to throw a foot in there.
I don't know. Just because of the situation that I'm in with getting into a business that possibly would be utilizing the food trucks, with this gristmill thing, so I'm just saying, I'm gonna read this item and stay here unless the board would like me to leave, but I'm gonna abstain from the comments and discussion on it, just because I don't want something to ever be inferred as a conflict of interest, because by the time this would go into place, I might be in a situation that it is a conflict of interest if some action came of it. So I'm gonna read the item, but I am going to be abstaining and not participating in the discussion on the item. So, discussion related to the creation of a village food truck ordinance and policy and consideration of a motion to direct staff to draft documents.
President, I know that there's some people here, and I don't know if they want to speak from restaurants and that. I know open comment, it gets a little confusing of when someone can come up and just give their thoughts and not. So are they able to come up, and when would be the
Do we have
appropriate
people
time?
here that want to speak? Raise your hand. We'll do public comments, but we're gonna keep it open. Let's try to keep it 2 minutes a person. We'll go right through because then it'll be back to board discussion. So if you'd like to, I'm gonna allow that people that are here to speak publicly, please come forward. We'll hold it to 2 minutes each if that's okay. If you need an extension, we'll grant you a minute extension for a total of 3. We'll open public comments on this agenda item only, so this would not be on other public comments. The board is granting yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for the grant.
Sorry, it's not like the police
I don't have to pay it back. Steve Berger with Beer Snobs Ale and Eats, 122 Cottonwood Avenue. My only comments are I'm not against food trucks, but what I am would like to get in some sort of form in the ordinance is distance from current restaurants that are there, so you don't have somebody parked in front of your restaurant on city property. And then there should be more than just a token fee. I'm invested in the community. I pay taxes. I've got 22 people that work for me. They come in and they shop at the pharmacies and, you know, go to eat in different places, so they are involved in the community. I'm involved in the community. When the baseball team needs a donation, they come see me. They come see Pat, come see Stacy, they come see us. And we give those to support the village and the community that is involved. Those are the only comments that I have. I'd like to keep us not in special consideration, but there should be some consideration of the businesses that are invested in the community that took a 84-year-old building and completely demolished it and put it back up, that helped the village and increased hopefully the stature of our community. So that's my only comments. So thanks for your time, and hopefully I stayed within my 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Anybody else that would like to speak in public comments on this item?
Hello, everyone. Pat Enter Sports Grill. Pretty much just echoes Steve's comments. I agree with the same thing. I know that, as an example, the new grist mill in Hoggers has had food trucks in the past. I personally don't have a problem with that, being that they are a Hartland business. But just like we have a fee for when they're in the park, I think there should be a fee if they're at another business. And like Steve said, I'm not a big fan of food trucks. We're not a real big community. We don't have foot traffic like a lot of the other communities do. I get hit weekly for food trucks at the park. Just last night, I had a vendor come up to me and say he wanted to put a food truck in the park during the beer garden hours. And for 5 years, I've been telling him no, because we have too many food establishments within walking distance of the park and just downtown Hartland. So I kind of agree with Steve in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I'm really against food trucks. I don't think there's a real good place for them here out on the street. Again, if a local business, another restaurant wants to or bar wants to put a food truck in their parking lot or out front, that I don't have a problem, but they should be subject to some type of a fee. I know Oconomowoc put a big fee into effect this year. I don't know all the details of it, and I wouldn't be against seeing what they did and following some of their guidelines, because I know at least 1 or 2 of the food trucks left Oconomowoc as a result of it. So that's all I have. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that would like to speak on this agenda item? Public comments while they're open? Because when they close, then there's no more. Until next time when we have a meeting with public comments or some other item on the agenda later. Last call, public comments. Okay, board, The item's yours.
Okay, I had asked this to be put back on the agenda because it was, I think when the other beer garden was being considered, the food truck policy came up then as far as food trucks on the street or even in a business. I think we definitely need to have some sort of guideline as to what that would look like if they're on either private or a public street, how we want it, if we want them. I know that Oconomowoc has their food policy, and they're actually now doing a whole full food in a parking lot. They have the food trucks that go in there, and they pay money to go in there and to utilize it. They have a lot more foot traffic, so I don't really think that would work in Hartland. But if we don't have some sort of accountability for business, which I understand businesses pay taxes, but when a food truck comes in, they're not invested at all. They're just making money off of. So I think we need some sort of policy if there's a transaction and they're selling food to the public that is not part of their establishment, that there should be a fee paid.
I have a comment on this. I really think that a minor fee maybe, but I think when it's on private property, even if it is a business, especially a business that doesn't serve food, when you have a business that serves alcohol and no food, that can be an issue. And if I'm, well, I don't drink, but if I'm at a place and I'm having a couple cocktails or there's a band playing, I don't want to have to walk a couple blocks down the street, get a menu, sit down and order, or place a takeout and then go back. I just as soon walk up to a truck. I mean, to me, it makes more sense if it's going to be on private property, that should be considered different than, say, a truck that just parks on the street at random. I don't know if anybody does that. I don't know if trucks do that. I know they used to, but, and if you make the fee too high, we're not gonna have that. I've been to an event at, Jeff's, and it was
Clarify-
nice.
clarify
I'm
the
sorry,
location.
Jeff, of Hoggers, when there was a fundraiser. And it was very nice to go there and be able to have a sandwich and listen to the band without, and again, if there was a restaurant, well, there is a restaurant next door, but I don't think they were open, because I think it was on a Sunday. To me, it's just, it's safer and better for the people to be putting some food in their stomach, especially if you don't have the ability to serve your own food. I'm done.
So, to finish mine then, so if, actually, and I'll directly ask you, so what you're saying, so I could feasibly go and buy the property that used to be the bowling alley that someone else owns right now, but I could
Okay.
buy that parking lot there, and I can just bring in food trucks,
Well,
because that's my property, so I can bring in any food trucks I want. That's my point of saying policies.
if you wanted to, I mean, they would only come, number one, if they had good food, nobody got sick. And number two, I mean, that, because, you know, they have to be good. And if you can get enough people to come in there and they can make money, go for it. I mean, a
I
small
would think
fee-
our restaurants and brick and mortar people would not be very happy with
Well,
us with that thought, that I can
there's-
just have a food truck and
Well, I'm
not
just
pay
saying,
anything.
well, I said a small fee. I think if you make a fee of like $100 each time one wants to, or 200 or whatever, that's unreasonable, because I don't know what their overhead is. I don't have any idea how much money they make. I wouldn't think it'd be a big amount. I don't know. I have no idea what they make. I've never actually talked to the owner of one of those.
I guess I look at it as, you know, this hasn't been a lot of fun being in business in the last couple of years. And what we've gone is with the liquor license and the beer license, we've helped those licensees out with lowering the fees. We've helped our restaurants by putting up signs where they could do the carry-out business. We're doing everything trying to help our businesses. So why the heck would I want to turn around and say, hey, I want you to park your truck in front of this other business, and you say you make all the money and you didn't pay any taxes or pay the price? Now, I have no problem with the food truck coming to an event. If I have an event, if I'm holding an event, and if I pass all the rules and regulations with regard to an event, and I want to have a food truck there because I don't want to burn my hands on the grill, I could do that. I have no problem with that. That's an individual, that's a party, that's an event, that's something special. When you got the beer garden that's set there, who the hell made that beer garden? Not the guy in the truck. You know, I want to protect our business. Our businesses work too hard. They donate so much to our community inside that I want to do whatever we can to protect and help them. Because if you look at our record, that's what we've been doing. We're trying to help. We're trying to help us go and get better. So, I don't know. It just bothers me that somebody could come in and park across the street from me and start selling batteries. You know, I mean, it's like, what the hell am I doing? You know, how can that person just come here, doesn't have to pay any of the taxes, doesn't have to put up any of the crap from the village board, you can do whatever they want, and all of a sudden, hey, they're in business. It's expensive to be in business, and I want to have somebody, if they're gonna get in the game, they throw the money in. And if they don't want to throw the money in, they shouldn't be in that game. That's all I have.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation. I kind of look at it from the operator's standpoint, and so we've got several bars and restaurants, let's just say those establishments here in Hartland. They all have different licensing that they're paying for. I can think of one bar in town that does not have a full-service kitchen, but may offer something to eat. And then you've got another bar in town that has a full-service kitchen, paying for wait staff, paying for overhead. And so it's kind of this tug and pull to Trustee Meyer's point. It's very expensive to operate a business. And so my concern is that these businesses that are here that are doing their due diligence, that are actually paying for the extra permits that they need to serve food, hiring the servers, are the ones that'll go without, because we could potentially have a food truck just sitting randomly. And I think we need to discuss that. I also think that there's something else to be said about the interesting collaboration that happens between the village. And if I don't, I think the purpose of this is good. I think that we're seeing food trucks pop up everywhere, whether that's Waukesha County hosting them or Oconomowoc and so forth. But there is something interesting to be said about if there is an establishment that maybe particularly doesn't serve food, is there an ability to partner with an establishment that does? And I think that that's something that's great for Hartland to look at as well, to kind of keep everybody working together and all the businesses standing up together. I think there's a real way to be friendly here, but I'm really struggling with us entering this food truck thing of allowing it just because it's private property. They can just come park a food truck and then it's like, and then it puts, I'll just, beer snobs out because they're walking, they have a food truck. I struggle with that from a community standpoint. So, I rest.
Any other discussion?
No, I kind of agree. I like the idea of checking into Oconomowoc. I don't know what theirs are, what the fees are. I think there should be a fee. But what is the right fee? I think we need to look at it and do a little surveying and see what's out there and from a consistency standpoint and go from there.
So,
Go ahead. Oh, and I just want to clarify, I was not agreeing that a food truck could just come and park. They would have to actually be there because somebody brought them there. Not just they're gonna park on Main Street or just park in front of Beer Snobs because they want to sit there and get the customers as they're coming in or something. That is not what I'm saying.
Could we potentially, it says, in item 6, so President, I guess I'm addressing you at this time, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Consideration to motion to direct the staff on the draft documents. Could we potentially state, we would ask the staff to do some research of neighboring municipalities, what they're looking at food trucks, and ask them, how is that working with the businesses in the community, so that we have a basis? It sounds like we've got a couple of different sides on the fence here.
That is totally permissible, and to answer the question, because I want to make sure that others don't get the wrong impression, I truly do believe, number one, and I think that it needs to be looked into, there are seller's permits that have to be filed. You can't just go and sell
Exactly.
glow sticks at Nixon Park. We need to look into what we already have in place.
I agree.
Or at least it should, I'm sorry, that information needs to be disseminated to the village board. Absolutely, a motion could be made to direct staff to start looking into that. I just wanted to throw in, because I don't want people hearing this and thinking that anyone, even if it was done in the past,
Agreed.
I have a feeling that there's things in place. I know for ice cream trucks there are. Those are mobile
Or the Kiwanis,
food vendors.
yep.
So, I think that should be given to the board, but absolutely, and the board at this time could make a motion or make a request or demand to have staff look into anything that they see fit for them to make the proper decision.
And I was gonna say, I don't know if that's necessary, I think kind of what I gathered from everybody is everybody kind of wants some more information before we put together a policy.
I'm not speaking of a policy, I'm asking for just more information to continue a discussion.
Yep.
Before even discussing what a policy would look like at this time.
And I could reach out to a bunch of the neighboring communities, because they're definitely popping up all over.
They gotta have the same concerns that we did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why Conomoc switched
Yeah.
their whole policy around, and it's
Yeah.
quite expensive to
Absolutely.
have it there now.
Right.
Yeah, and if there are other seller permits, I mean, I think I would like to have that information in front of me so that I have a better understanding of as to what I'm looking at, what we already have, so I can educate myself and know a little bit more in this discussion, to the president's point.
I'm not getting into the discussion, I'm just giving for point of information. I know at Delafield, and I saw it, in Delafield, people have to have a complete operating plan. Even if you have that truck on private property, there's gotta be a complete operating plan that has to go through their plan commission and then go through the full, the city plan. So I'm just saying, it is common, to have that type of thing. But Delafield does have one of them also.
I'll reach out to a bunch of the local administrators, pretty much anywhere in Waukesha County, see what they have, see what I can get. We're kind of doing something similar with the plan commission with illuminated signage, so when I get it, I can send it to you guys, so you see kind of what neighboring, it's gonna be all over the board. There are gonna be some places that have nothing and some that are very strict. But once we get that, you guys can kind of put something together and we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Do we need to make any kind of motion?
No one has to.
Okay. We just move
It
on.
was just a direction. I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to make a motion to direct, they could, but I think it would be, it's up to a board member. All right. Just so everybody knows, because I don't want anybody thinking that all I was doing was providing information. I was not participating in the discussion. And I think the board feels I did just fine with that. Do I have anybody?
No objection.
All right, now we have, also, on that item, because that came up, I do believe it would be appropriate to, once the information is gathered, bring it back to the board so that it gets on an agenda without someone having to re-put it on. It should come back on. Would the board intends that that's the way, okay. Ryan will
I'll shoot
direct that out.
for end of September, we'll see what I get, and it shouldn't be.
Public has an opportunity to read what's in the package.
Yep.
And see, and then they know as well.
Okay, so now we have more clarifications. Discussion related to the special events permit form and draft ordinances. I think that this is actually a good thing that it's in front of the board. But that's what we have, special events permit form. Go ahead, Ryan.
So we, if you recall, this went through 3 readings and did not get approved. It had some issues with it, so we actually, the police chief, village clerk, myself, and the Chris Kenke with the village attorney, kind of took all your comments from that meeting, and we're hoping we got most of your information in here. But you'll see 2 different ordinances. We haven't, this isn't to start readings, this is just to get your input on, are we headed in the right direction? The first one we have it's essentially replacing the public dance and concerts and creating a special event permit. So this would be any of the large events that we have around the village. You'll see some of the redlined items. We added public parks for the special events, going through structures, portable toilets. You'll see, if you just read through this, we tried to pick up that you guys wanted 75% of the property owners to sign off on a petition for any of the special events. We also picked up that if the event is in a village park, that special event permit will have to go through the Park and Rec Board and the village board for consideration. And then the other ordinance is just the neighborhood street use permit, similar to what we approved tonight. This would be just somebody shutting down a block for a neighborhood block party. This would not be for a business block party. That would be referred back for the special event permit, but I don't know if people had an opportunity to kind of review this, and we worked on the special event permit. We're trying to get as many items in here as necessary. You guys mentioned something about wanting a checklist. We kind of consider that this would be our checklist. You know, the clerk, fire, police, public works, rec, who would approve it, deny it, and then all the payments of the applications. So just kind of curious everyone's thoughts, and, because again, the move from here would be to go through 3 readings before approval. So we just wanted to bring it to you instead of going through the readings and not getting it approved. Concerns, comments, questions?
One thing I have, sorry.
Okay.
The 75% of people signing a petition saying that they're okay with it.
Yeah.
I can't think, there's a lot of times that, that's called a supermajority, if it even came to the board, and we're only a body of, typically we're a body of 7. Supermajority is a really tough thing to pull. I do not think that it's fair to tell the public, you have to get a supermajority. What I do believe is that they should have to get 50%. And if it is a big enough, I don't know how you quantify this, if it is a large enough item that the board, I don't know how to do this, but I think that there should be some type of a public hearing instead to hear from people that it's, 14-day notice on a public hearing that they pay to post. Where we would open the public hearing, and if no one shows up, we'll close it, but we make sure that we allow people to come and speak. I just don't want to have someone have to sign on the supermajority. I think that that's a lot.
So when I've collected signatures before, for closing down a street for different events, we were never told that it had to be approval. People signed it even though they didn't agree with it. They signed it because that you informed them that this was happening. So it wasn't a yay or nay for that signature. It was just that they're signing it, that they were told that this event is happening, that the street will be closed from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then that's it. That's what we told them, and then you get the signature that you've been told. Some people will refuse it to sign it, and that's okay. And then other people just sign it and say, well, I'm not happy about this. Okay, thank you. And then it gets put to the board, and then the board decides whether we're going to proceed with this or not.
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say, is that we asked that question at one of the large events that just came up this year, where there was lots of closures of roads. And it was indicated to us that the individuals that received this, that went out seeking signatures, were just seeking signatures just to inform the public that there was an event that was on the village board agenda, and therefore they were seeking signatures to say that they had told to them about the event, please sign, and that those signatures would then be turned over to the village board.
Correct.
And those opposed would show up.
And then, please feel free, here's when it will be on the, yes, all the things.
I didn't know if they actually got 75% of signatures. Do you recall? Does anybody recall?
75% of what?
No.
That's, the number of, if you
Whatever-
want to call it units,
whatever's being affected by the
houses,
close-
units,
closing down.
apartments,
Usually
anything.
they're, so when you think of this, so the bike race was different, because that was a huge
one.
Palmer's tent event, I don't know where you consider, but that's all the businesses on
It's
there. They're
within the
aware of it.
barricade, I would say.
I'm absolutely fine, we can make it whatever you want. Could somebody say I'm not signing it regardless, and they not get to 50%, because?
Well, no, by vice versa. If you have to get 75% of the signatures, it's much easier for you to run into a problem with that. That's the only reason I was. When you talk about the supermajority, it's hard to get that on this board.
I would agree.
That would be 8 votes, or I'm sorry, that'd be 6 votes. You got to get everybody but one to get over that threshold.
So you guys want it, what I'm hearing is that you wanted to say
No,
50%?
well, we would end up having a vote, but I was suggesting it.
This isn't a vote, we're just discussing this so we can bring back something that
Right.
you guys like.
Can vote on it.
So what I'm hearing is signed by no less than 50% essentially of the affected parties, and kind of get rid of this, we understand that we've agreed, change it to, we have been notified of the event.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of agreed.
Right, because
Yes.
it hasn't been voted on, and we haven't approved technically.
Yeah.
This is part of their application process to bring the signatures to us. And then I would ask that the public hearing idea also be added in here as well. I think that's a fantastic idea, because then the public knows.
Right.
And I want to make sure they know that.
I always like somehow to be able to be notified, as we have these condo developments going on also. My
Yes.
fear is if someone does have an event, even though that's private property, they still have to get an event permit, or if they're doing whatever. If anything was going on, but you have a lot of those people that live in different places, but they have a condo here, I don't know. The biggest thing, people should notify people.
Right.
I'm just trying to get around the signature where I do believe, and if we could do it, somehow with the, Now saying 75% of the places have to be notified, personally notified, or you have to put something on their door, because that's what we did for the bike race. We're like, no, you have to notify them, or leave a card on the door or something, but you have to notify 75%, but get 50% signature.
So item 7 says applicant to deliver notice to property owners with a 500-foot radius of the special event at least 2 weeks prior.
Yep.
To the village board meeting. So this next one, if the special event, results in a closure, that's where we're gonna get the 50 cent notified. Police chief and village clerk, do we have an issue with that language? Is that something we can work with in your opinions? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I ask a question of the clerk? I know that there's real straightforward laws on public hearings. If we're deciding in our own village here to have a public hearing, simply doing it to make sure that the public gets noticed, but this has nothing to do with the state laws, are we okay doing something like that?
I would believe so, but I think that's something we want to just check with.
Okay, I was just want to make sure, otherwise we might have to word it
Like
differently.
an open
and
house, kind of like the.
We might just have to word it differently. Yes.
Good call.
But still treat it like that, but we'd have to word it differently.
What do you want for, so to go along with that, the wording, do we want an open forum for every event? You know, like you have Snob Fest, you have Palmer's Tent Event, or a race like the bike race where you have residential
Yes.
homeowners.
Okay.
I think it's like when it's the bike race, when it's disrupting a lot.
I was gonna leave that open to the board, because the board would decide and let people know when that special events permit come out, just letting you know, we'll have a public hearing, because we have to hear
Yeah,
from the
because I don't
public.
need a public hearing for the one that we just,
Yeah,
you
right.
know, I mean. for
Well, that
the-
was a neighborhood one, but do you
Right.
think we put language in here that says the village board, at their discretion, may,
Yes,
okay,
Yeah, I like
That
that
would be
at discretion.
agreeance.
yep.
village board can request.
And I state this, why it's so important to me is that I think it becomes a little difficult to know when you're not coming to a board meeting all the time. When can I talk? When can I talk? You know, sometimes we say we're taking public comments for items not on the agenda, and then it's like, we've got items on the agenda. And then you're like, you're coming, and so if they know that we are gonna have an open forum, or whatever it is, that the public can come and talk, right? And then the president can govern that process.
Right, they know that they can come and
Yes.
talk.
Yeah.
You just said something and I was gonna chime, I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes,
I
sorry.
was gonna chime in on something.
Village board can request.
And they have to pay for the public, or, I'm sorry, they have to pay for the posting, because that's part of making something public is posting that it'll be there. They have to pay for that
Oh, yeah, in the
posting.
paper, that's true.
It only has to be a few lines, but they have to pay for that posting.
Other item I wanted to point out, we talked about proof insurance and how sometimes these events are really tricky, as far as timing of getting everything. So we tried adding, a special event permit application may be considered and approved without submittal of proof of insurance, but under no circumstance shall the event essentially happen. We need it at least 20 days before the event. Just so that, it's saying if you guys approve event in February that's for July, if it's July 21st, by July 1st, we need that proof of insurance or we'll cancel that event. So just trying to make sure that we're covered. Anybody else have any comments or concerns or anything else?
Question on the neighborhood street use.
Sure.
Is there anywhere, or maybe I'm just being too picky here, where it says permits granted under this article will only be granted for events closing fewer than 3 blocks within a residential neighborhood? Do we have anything that says, and under X amount of hours or done by X, do they have to follow the same time as any other event?
We would decide that time, because they have to put that in, just like the one we just did, they said they were doing 3 to 8.
Okay. The reason I ask is I
So,
can hear somewhere around the village.
I mean,
Neighbors
essentially
with
it says-
fireworks going off and
Well,
music
fireworks aren't
playing.
permitted in the village,
Yeah, well.
unless
I'm
you have a
just saying-
special permit.
Yeah, or
in an
music
appropriate
playing
area.
till 11, 12 o'clock at night, I'm just asking.
essentially, we say that the board could deny it if it is for street use that is to be held between the hours of 8 PM and 6 AM.
What page are you on?
Page 3 of that.
3 line
Okay,
70.
okay.
So essentially, what you're saying is if that event goes till 9 PM, that the board could essentially cancel that. Now, for the neighborhood one, we say 75% of the adjacent properties should sign the petition. Is that okay for residential? I mean, if
For
somebody's
which one?
shutting. Line 71. We request 75% of households adjacent to that portion of the street. This is truly a neighborhood block party, like a River Reserve or Mary Hill, shutting down that block.
I don't think everyone would be there or be
I
notified. I don't think
understand.
it'd be that hard to.
I just want to make sure you're fine with that wording.
Yeah, that's fine, because that's less than 3 blocks.
Yeah.
See, there, that's easy. Plus, we know we're not getting into friction, because it's like, 50% of it's Hatfields and McCoys on this block, they're just. I would think that that's. Right, it's like, popcorn, bring it, chairs,
gonna
watch.
So my goal would be, or our goal would be to bring this back to the next meeting for the first reading, get through the 3 meetings so that we have this in place for future events and for next year. Huh?
Can I make one more?
Absolutely.
I'm just wondering, so has all the staff looked at this, the front staff? Because they're the ones who have to collect everything and be on the same page, and that it's work-friendly for them as well, in the village.
And I think we will. We're just trying, like I said, at this point, we're trying to get everything that the board has been talking about over the past couple months as far as the special event. We want to make sure that it applies to everything so that it's what you guys want. It makes sense. 'Cause we had the dance permit and, we had many different things. And that's what we kind of said. This would be our checklist. Somebody would kind of bring it in, drop it off. Our staff up front are very knowledgeable. They handle permits for many of the large developments. They're the ones who enter all that. I don't think they'd have a problem with this.
So they have not.
Have we,
I think we want to be careful about getting too much into what he's in charge of wanting the staff.
Ryan and I have discussed it with this new form. Our intent or our thought process was that they would come in, get this form, and we would actually sit down with them and go through this with them. Are you having this? Are you having that? What other forms do you need? You want to have alcohol? Well, you're that appropriate type of group. Here's the alcohol related. So this isn't something that someone's going to drop in at the front desk with and run. It's going to be, especially the first year or two with a larger event, department heads, probably a group of appropriate department heads will meet and make sure that they have all the pieces. That's been our discussion in the
I like it.
yeah, we talked about having, I forgot about the staff meeting.
Yeah.
With all the departments affected.
And I didn't mean to be confusing. That's all of your business, and you guys are great at what you do. I'm saying that the people that use this on a day-to-day, if they had a chance to glance at it to see if there was something blatant that they missed, or they would be like, oh, you know what would help my process? Because they collect these, your staff collects these and looks at these every single day. They're the professionals of it. They're the ones that know. So they would know if there was something blatant that we wouldn't know.
We can share
Because
it
we
with
don't
them.
run them, that's all.
We'll share it with them, and if they have any updates, we can bring it through the next reading.
Definitely, and I think too, that a lot of the forms referenced, they are familiar with, so I think also when we try to put this into place, that's a good time to look at those other forms too and say, what is there that we maybe no longer utilize, what is there that we could add? I think it has to all kind of come together.
And our plan, I guess, going forward, our plan would be not to bring the special event permit back, because that's staff's checklist per se, and it would be having the village board approve the ordinance, if that makes sense.
It doesn't have to come back. I would suggest having it come back just to make sure we don't miss anything, not because we want to change anything. It doesn't have to. I'm fine with the permit, and maybe if there is no objection, I'm just saying having it all come through.
I'm fine bringing it. Like I said, I just don't want to get to reading 3. If you guys have comments, questions, concerns, please get it to us so we can change it for up to the 3 readings, we can change anything.
Yep, that is correct.
I have one final question.
Sure, go ahead.
It's for Chief Misko. So I'm looking at the special event permit application, and it gets really specific into like road closed signs and barricades, which I know that our DPW supports. Thank you for that. Do you need anything in there to support the police force? Like you're looking for the police force at all to, I'm just thinking about some of the larger events we have where I do see our police that are walking around. I mean, do you need that in there for any reason, or are you comfortable with not? I'm not sure, so
I think that they would be brought in at department head time when they do that meeting.
That's what I'm just
not
wondering,
sure.
but I'm wondering if we need to have that question on here for the applicant. I don't know, that's why I'm just, I mean, this
Right.
is why it's discussion, right, so. I mean, we just get into the weeds.
Then under the part where it says any other assistance you foresee needing from the village, personnel, materials, equipment. But
Okay.
we could put in something specific to security, like we
Okay.
do with the signs, like you're talking about. Are you gonna need additional security from police? Really, the only events we've done that with is St. Charles and Party in the Park.
Okay.
And the only other ones that are probably near that size would be the beer snob events are getting pretty big.
That was where my mind was going.
But we haven't provided any designated security for those events. Yet, we just do extra patrols with our on-duty staff. They'll do a walkthrough if they have time, if they're not on a call for service.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Thank you.
To
This is well done.
that point, we don't, if it's a business, I don't think we should automatically give it. They can use Hartland, or they can hire some security guards, or whatever they wanna do, but
They
chief
gotta
police
look
will
at it.
have to know about it, but,
Nailed it.
you know, when it's businesses doing it,
Agreed.
they're for hire, but they're not free. But that's up to the chief. Any more discussion?
No, good.
Yeah, this is really
well
coming together nicely.
But if it needs more, let us know.
Yep.
Very detailed.
We had already skipped that item, so yeah, announcements. Anybody? Did you have one? Before you go, chief, I just did want to announce real quick a couple things. Keegan O'Toole, who wrestles out of Aspirin Wrestling Academy, won gold over in, I don't know what, Russia, Pushka, Russia, or something. All I know is that it's really tough to get in there. You gotta like land in a plane and then fly in some little plane to get there. But anyways, he won gold. He wrestles out of Askin Wrestling Academy. He graduated last year from Arrowhead High School. He's a four-time state winner. Probably will be in the Olympics in 3 years in France. But that was pretty cool to see another person where it's at, Hartland, Wisconsin. Obviously, Molly Seidel, just having done it in the Olympics and getting a bronze in her third marathon ever, just to go and mow them down like that, pretty cool. But to see Hartland pop up like that is always really, really cool. So wanted to say congratulations to him. Secondly, I was obviously going to include that we will, I'm guessing, or I'm going to ask Darlene, typically before we haven't taken a vote on this, but if we end up getting to it, we might have something somewhere, just a light little gathering for people to come and thank Trustee Anson if they want to, kind of like we did for Dave Lamarand. Small, people pay for their own stuff, but people can come in and say thanks. I don't have anything else.
To Keegan, I was just wondering, for Molly, I know that we as a village, we're sending her a letter. Could we also do the same to him,
Yeah.
congratulating him as well?
Yep.
Okay. And then the second one was, I was just wondering if it was appropriate. I'd like to have on the agenda a discussion about the handicap parking. That came up a couple of times ago. And I know we're having discussions right now about the parking ordinances, and I figure while our mind is fresh and we're looking into it, can we get that on the agenda for handicap parking downtown?
Real quick on that, was Rupert Milky looking into that, Mr. Faulkner?
They are looking into that.
Okay. Can we wait till we hear from them to
That
bring
would be fantastic, but
Okay.
just some sort of update, didn't know they were looking into it. Thank you.
How about we have an update next meeting, and if they're done, we have an
That'd be great.
update and discussion
Yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah, I think it was
We could do
good.
that.
That was all I had, President.
Chief, thank you.
Chief Dave Jambers from the Hartland Fire Department. So we had our state DOT inspection on our 2 ambulances last week. They scheduled 90 minutes for each ambulance, and he was gone in 30 minutes. He told Julie that she should give a class on the proper paperwork that should be ready for these. He came in, she had 2 folders for him with everything that they had asked for, and he was out of there in 30 minutes, glowing review of our ambulances. We met today as county chiefs, start talking about COVID stuff again. Right now, the county is averaging about 100 cases a day. Doc Schultz from Waukesha Memorial Hospital stated that there has been some people that have been vaccinated that are getting it, but the numbers are very, very, very small for that. Most of the departments in the county haven't seen any cases, as we have not seen any cases. We're still wearing our PPE when we go into the houses, no matter what. So at minimum, the surgical masks, and if it comes in as a respiratory issue, we go with our N95 masks. So, but just an update on that. We're planning on meeting on a monthly basis again until this either settles down or ramps up even further. So,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? That's all right, you'll have another meeting in 2 weeks.
I make the motion to adjourn. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All in favor? Aye. This meeting's adjourned.